Leadership. All of us have the ability to be leaders. Everyone has the potential to become a leader. But what makes a leader? In today's speech, I'm going to be talking about various leaders who I look up to and who I believe, I'll explain during the speech that why they're a good example of leaders. So what makes a leader? First and foremost is the vision. Leaders have dreams. Those dreams are never focused only on yourself, they're focused on something bigger, the bigger picture. Leaders always focus on the bigger picture, not just themselves. One inspiration that I look up to is a poet from the Indian subcontinent named Allama Iqbal. He came up with the concept of what a leader is. And the concept that he came up with was using the symbol of an eagle. He believed that the eagle soared above everyone else. Why? Because the eagle broke the chains. What are the chains? How did the eagle overcome the chains? The eagle overcame the chains because it dreamed of things that people were scared to dream of. People were scared to dream of things that an eagle would dream of, soaring above everyone else. And also, the eagle dreamt the impossible. So, in this little bit of poetry, we learn that the best leaders are those who dream things that, a normal person would feel that, no, that's not possible. So that is what we're referring to as chains. The chains are the things that inside you're thinking this is not possible. That is the chain. And secondly, what else makes a leader is taking on challenges. Leaders can never just tell themselves, oh, I'm not going to take this on, I don't want to, no, it's too challenging for me. The only way you're able to become the best leader possible is if you take on challenges. An example of somebody who took on challenges, who took pressure, was Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of the UK. When did he become Prime Minister? When we were going through the worst phase in our history. We were going through war. Winston Churchill, in that time, became the leader because he had the ability of taking pressure. So how do we take pressure? The best way to take pressure, like I said, taking challenges. Taking on challenges is the best way we're able to take pressure. And lastly, another thing that I would say make a leader is not compromising on this big dream you have. So obviously, I said previously, if you want to become a leader, you've got to have big dreams. But then, having big dream, you can't compromise on it just because you've had some little setback, something happened, some failures happened. Never ever give up on your dream. Never ever compromise on your dream over some setback, some failure. You look at the great leaders such as Nelson Mandela, for example. He spent 27 years in prison. 27 years, that's a long time. And he was offered everything by the apartheid regime. He was offered, get out of prison, whatever. I don't know the exact history, but he was offered everything, basically. And he put them down because he believed in his dream, which was bigger than himself. It wasn't just of himself. Also, one big inspiration that I have, Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, he was so popular at the time he started politics, it took him 22 years to become Prime Minister. Even though he was offered everything, he was offered to become the Prime Minister in a military dictatorship, he was offered so many things, but he still put them down because he said, no, I'm going to focus on my dream, I'm not going to compromise on it. So not compromising is very important to become a leader. And I'm sure you're all thinking, how does this relate to me? I'm talking about people like Nelson Mandela, big people, But the reality is we're all leaders. All of us in this room are leaders right now, whether we like it or not. We should accept that. We should accept the responsibility of being a leader and embrace it. And we should all remember to dream big. One advice that I got online, actually, there's a website called Muslim Mastery. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it. And it's a very good website which tries to make leaders, try to make people into leaders. And they came up with a short formula on how to make leaders, how to become a leader. It's called REST. Now, I don't mean rest as in actual rest. I mean the acronym REST, R-E-S-T. R stands for responsibility, having responsibility in everything. How do you take responsibility? The best way to take responsibility, taking on challenges, telling yourself, no, I'm going to be the one that does this thing. I'm not going to leave it to someone else. I'm going to be the one who does it. Responsibility. R stands for responsibility. E stands for example, leading by example. You shouldn't just expect other people. So, for example, if I'm like a leader of some society, and I tell you all to come on at a specific time, but then I myself come late every time, Am I leading by example? No, I'm not. I'm not leading by example there. And the problem is not timing there. The problem is that it's your integrity is ruined. Your actions and words are not matching. So that ruins a leader. So E in rest stands for example. S, service. We are, as leaders, you're not some king. We often think of leaders as some big, prime minister. He's got a big house and everything. That's not what a leader is. A leader is actually a servant to other people. In a queue, for example, an analogy I got from this very side is that if there's a queue for a buffet, the leader is not the first one in line. He's actually the last one in line. Why? Because the leader will make sure that everyone in the line has eaten, has got everything they need, and then he'll say, you know what? Now is my time. Now I can go eat. And then the last one is what we as Muslims believe, taqwa, that we're doing it for the sake of God, Almighty God, and God is watching us. We shouldn't have arrogance over, a few successes that we have. Always do it for the sake of God. So rest is, this acronym is what I got from online. That's a really good thing that we should all use, definitely, because we're all leaders. We should all embrace the fact that we're leaders. So yeah, in conclusion, obviously, I hope what you take from this speech is the fact that we're all leaders. We should embrace the fact that we're leaders. We should dream